Welcome to another reflection of Stations of the Cross. Recently our Bishop Peter Brignall, wrote to the diocese on the stations and reminded us that 5 of the stations have no scriptural basis. And really, to understand the stations, you've got to get back to Scripture. God speaks to us through Scripture. And so the stations really begin at the Last Supper. You have a wonderful dynamic of the 12 disciples around Jesus, and they are celebrating the feast of the Passover. John is very relaxed, and Jesus says, "One of you is going to betray me." And Peter says to John, "Hey, find out who it is." And Jesus said, "It's the one who will dip his hand in the dish with me." And he's saying to Judas, bring it on, bring it on. I know what you're about. And we have the contrast here between the brokenness of the world, between the brokenness, religious brokenness, civil brokenness, and Jesus was here to redeem, to put it all back together again. You have that contrast. And so he heads off to the Mount of Olives and to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's sweating blood. He knows what's happening. He's aware of what Isaiah and the other prophets says about this moment, this confrontation, this act of redemption. And so the stations begin not just at the condemnation before Pilate, but really at the Last Supper. And now we have Jesus brought before the high priest and Pilate, and both condemn him. Pilate washes his hands and said, "Nothing to do with me." Civil authorities, religious authorities, the corruption is part of who they are. And Jesus is there to redeem that. And so he is led away the mile to Calvary, and he's nailed to the cross. You see, it took 6 hours for him to die. For some, it takes 4 days. And when he's hanging there, he's struggling to breathe. He's in pain from the nails that are put into his hands and feet. He could come down from the cross at any time. He could have run away in the Garden of Gethsemane. He didn't have to go through this. He said, "Father, let this cross pass from me. Not your will, but mine. Not my will, but yours be done." And so Jesus is hanging on the cross freely. It's not the nails that hold him to the cross. It's love. It's that act of redeeming humanity from the evil mire it is in. And so he dies. And the heart stops. What happens when the heart stops? The blood stops circulating. The blood then flows to the bottom of the body, rests there. The body swells up. The water comes to the top. And so when the soldier came along to ensure that the prisoners were dead, they could see Jesus was dead. The complexion of his face, white. So he put a sword in his side, and out came blood and water. And then the stations will take us to Jesus being laid in the arms of his mother. But that's not the important part of the story. It is important. But a resurrection is the essence of what the crucifixion is about. Jesus is able to come along. And to Thomas he says, "Put your hands here. Feel the wounds that the nails made. Put your hand in my side. See it." So Jesus is not affected by the injury which he received. And that is the gift to all his followers. The trauma, the brokenness, the evil which was in them no longer have a hold over him. That is his gift. That's the gift of the resurrection. And that's why we celebrate Easter. Thank you for listening.